Welcome to the Rimm-PODCAST, a podcast where we will dive in the hot political topics on the Orange County District-1. I have a really good guest. I will not say so much about him. I like better that he introduced himself. I saw him everywhere. If you are on the west side, he's everywhere. And he said, listen, man, I decided to run for the public office because it's a call, it's a duty. So, sir, can you please briefly introduce yourself and tell our audience who you are and what do you do from your personal and a slow transaction, and the next thing you know, you will be serving the public office.
Thanks for having me, Igor.
No problem.
So my name's Austin Arthur. I'm really just a West Orange guy. I'm a local business owner. We have, my brother and I are business partners. We started a marketing firm in Winter Garden, right next to the Chamber of Commerce there, across the street from that ale house on 50. And just had great success. We also opened a gymnastics center together, Gymnastics USA. I know that seems a little left field, but we come from a gymnastics family. That's how my parents met each other, through gymnastics.
Nice.
So we always knew we wanted to do that. And when we opened the gym, it was on a shoestring budget. We were a little overambitious and bought out a quarter of the old Kmart and 25,000 square feet, and we just could not fill it up with enough equipment. We didn't have enough money. So we just, we still did like the blue light special over there in the corner. But we were very successful, and we were able to grow multiple times as the years went on. Right now, the gym is the biggest gymnastics center in the state of Florida. It's 50,000 square feet, so doubled. Yeah, and 2,000 students. And,
wow.
I had just been so blessed in so many ways, including meeting my wife, who's born and raised here in West Orange County, Kelly. We have 3 kids
Hello,
together.
Kelly.
We have 3 kids. We live in Winter Garden. And through all the blessings, my life has, I know that I've been given so much, so I started to feel the need to give back because the businesses became more autonomous. They became more, turnkey over time, so I had more free time. And if anybody knows me, I don't like that, So I like to be busy. So I started to give back to the community, and we just got really involved and dived fully in, and that's why you see me everywhere. It just
Yes.
I care a lot about the community, and I started to notice just some things with Orange County that, I felt that there was a real crisis of leadership in Orange County. Not so much on the municipal levels. We have some great towns and cities that are doing amazing things, but it wasn't really being reciprocated, at least not for the folks in West Orange County, on the county level. So what I started to do is I started to beg friends to run for that seat. You need to run for that seat. You need to run for that seat. And they all just kind of pointed the finger back at me and say, well, you do it. Stop annoying us about it. You run. So, I talked about it with my wife, my brother, my business partner, best friend, my pastor, my mom, who I love, talked to her about everything, and realized that maybe this is what I'm supposed to do. So we're fully immersed now in campaigning for Orange County Commissioner in District-1, which is everything really southwest of Ocoee and Apopka.
Okay.
So, Windermere, Winter Garden, Oakland, Horizon West, all that down south area, Dr. Phillips, Gotha. So really, it's a very big area, nearly 250,000 residents.
Wow. So now you mentioned one thing. They said, you know what, I'm seeing more and more business people are seeking for political offices. Like you said, you open up a gym and you bought a big space. Your question is like, wow, how do I fill that? But we have the entrepreneurship mind.
Sure.
We'll fill it out, no matter what.
That's right.
A lot of politicians doesn't have that. So some of them they do, but just get public office. But I believe I should say we should start to see more entrepreneurship. People who've been diving into our Seminole County, Orange County, Osceola County, this particular case, especially Orange County, your side, west side. The more business owners are getting there, and actually, if we have to build business, this is how you supposed to build the government too.
Yeah, I think that's really true. And the big thing about it is in the private sector, you don't have a trough to go back to and say, well, give me more money for my business. No, you have to earn that money and you have to figure it out. And it gets desperate sometimes, and you have to be innovative. I mean, look what happened with COVID.
Yep.
You have some businesses where, well, first of all, government put so many restrictions on some businesses that they were never able to recover. But the businesses that survived are ones that were lucky enough to be in an industry that was able to flourish during that climate, or the businesses that were able to pivot and be agile and make changes in order to survive. So I think that kind of mindset is a very different mindset from the mindset of bureaucracy, not understanding that you just can't keep going back to the public trough and taking out money to solve problems. It's not the solution.
Before I dive into questions, can you tell the people when they need to vote for you?
Well, we jumped in early,
Okay.
so we're, I think about 15 months out
Okay.
from the election. It's August 2024.
Okay.
But that is not to make anybody be complacent. We need to get involved. We got a lot of work ahead. Right now, the big thing is we're trying to raise funds, to get the message out there to the folks. It's a necessary part that we wish was unnecessary about politics. Is it costs money and it costs dollars to get the message out. So that's what we're focusing on right now, and just talking to people to understand their concerns and the issues of the community.
Okay, so now I want to dive into the questions regarding
Sure.
the Orange County, especially your District-1. I always say, why should you be a better candidate over others, and you are here to defend yourself. What you're going to do for them, they're not going to do. My question, current policies and changes in Orange County, I look it up over the last 2-3 years, and investments and the necessary encouragement, do you are more kind of to broader employment? We just saw it recently, things within the Disney, between the government and Disney, shutting out, coming back again. What was your take on that, and what would you do as a commissioner in your District-1 when it comes down to the broader employment?
Well, I think that we have to check our premise. And we've often been taught that government creates jobs. The government doesn't create jobs. That's not the role of government. Now, sure, there's some jobs within the government that they supply. But in the aggregate, that's not the role and responsibility of the government. It's the private sector. That's how our whole economic framework is set up. So how government can encourage jobs, though, is to not stand in the way. I think that's often a big problem, and you see it in Orange County. There's so much red tape, and it's such a, well, let's put it this way. You look at some of the stuff that's been proposed in Orange County recently, like rent control, and ever-increasing impact fees. Now, while these might be options for solutions to problems, your solutions cannot include stifling the free market, because what happens is then businesses, instead of coming to your county, well, they're just going to go to another county. In Orange County, one thing that's happening, which is very surprising, more on the east side, is that a lot of business people are asking to be annexed into the city of Orlando, because the city of Orlando is more business friendly than the county itself.
Wow.
Now, that's not something that we don't think of the city of Orlando as the bastion of free market capitalism, but nonetheless, things are so tough in Orange County that they're even looking to be annexed into the city, or they're just going to other counties like Lake County, right next, which shares a border with us.
It's growing up like
Yeah.
insane.
So because if they have a better climate there to do business, then they're going to do business there.
Of course.
There's nothing holding them to Orange County, even though they maybe want to be in Orange County. And so ultimately, who suffers? The residents suffer.
Yes.
Job creation suffers.
Yes.
So I think that the best thing that we can do as a county is to loosen up some of those regulations to allow the free market to take place. And that starts with all the red tape and things like
Of course,
this.
yeah, red tape's killing everybody. Yeah. So then this one, do you plan to promote any changes to existing taxes, Orange County, District-1? If so, why? I know, especially Antu kind of cut it out, it was a penny tax, something regarding to it.
Sure. Well, as you can imagine, just based on my last comment, I'm a low tax, low spend kind of guy.
Okay.
I don't believe that the solutions we seek are found in ever increasing taxes. With that said, there's obviously taxes are a necessary evil.
Of course.
I mean, we've known that for the whole entire existence of this country. Alexander Hamilton was the first one to propose a consumption tax. So taxes are necessary, but they have to be appropriate.
Yes.
And with that, your spending has to be appropriate. Yeah. So I don't think that we just had the penny tax on the ballot, and we could dive into that issue if we want. But one thing resulted, and that was a very clear message from the voters that they are not for that penny tax, that they don't want it. So we can continue to spin our wheels on a new tax, or we could start to talk to the residents and start to look at things a little bit differently with a new lens and say, maybe the solution is not necessarily a new tax, but how are we doing our spending currently? And if you think of it like a family, If I am having money problems in my family, and I don't go to my boss and say, hey, I need more money because look, my bills, I'm in the red here, so let's get some more money from you. No, the first thing you do is you look and you sit down with your spouse and say, okay, what are we doing? Well, every Sunday after church we have this great lunch on
Cut it out.
Sundays. Well, maybe we can't do the lunch. Maybe we just got to do a barbecue at home.
Here we go.
You bring your expenditures lower.
Downsize.
We all know this. Everybody has to work under those natural laws.
Of course.
But for some reason, politicians don't see it that way all the time. They say, well, we need more tax. And with that penny tax deal, there was a lot of good people that were involved in supporting it. I did a podcast for the West Orange Times and Observer before I had to run, which everybody should check out. The West Orange on the Go, it's still
Yes.
there.
Well,
And I spoke very heavily in the positive sides of that tax. But the voters spoke. It seems that the voters don't trust the current commission to spend those dollars wisely.
Okay.
So I think that really we have to look at what is it that we're spending things on. Are there social programs that maybe we can tighten up? Because that's the first step. The first step is not asking for more money.
Absolutely, and like I said, we should bring in more businesses, more sales, more encouragement. That's
right.
how you collect more taxes to overcome whatever the expenses you have.
Yeah.
Land use. Everybody's regarding land use. We are Florida. Everybody's moving from California, New York, all over the place. We have a more demand and less supply. That's just economical factor. And my question to you, are Orange County land use regulations and permitting process doing enough to assure the public interest or not?
So, yeah, everybody is coming to Florida for very obvious reasons. Now, the issue with land use, the big thing to understand about land use, and for the folks that might not be aware of it, there's a land use map. And what that is in Orange County, we used to be heavy agriculture, and that's obviously changed over time. It's changed heavily. And where you used to have all orange groves, now you have, commercial, you have homes. So what the land use map does, the future land use map, is it looks at all these land pieces and says, okay, here where this agriculture is, based on X, Y, Z, we feel that we could, residential homes would be appropriate usage for this land. Us, the government, feel that way. But the government doesn't build homes. I mean, they probably shouldn't be in that business. Yeah. I know in some cases they are, and you see how that turns out. But what you do is you look at that land use and you say, we are okay with this flipping to a residential land use or commercial land use, whatever the case may be. But it takes that private owner to want to do it. So what happens is with this land use map is you'll have a private owner of property say, all right, here I got these certain amount of acres. I'm ready to pull the trigger. This was agriculture before. I see the land use map. It says that I could do residential here. So let me go to the commission and flip this to residential and build 100 homes because we have a housing crisis in Orange County.
Yes, we do.
The problem, to answer your question, right now in Orange County with the land use situation, is it's going to take that person 18 months just to get that flipped, just to get something that's already been pre-designated to flip. 18 months. Well, we see that we don't live in a slow world anymore. You can't do anything in the private sector with an 18 months out plan. The business plans of the past where you build a business plan big as that book, that's not how it works anymore. You have to be agile, and that's something I learned the hard way in business. We made a big business plan, and everything goes out the window once you start doing business. Yeah. So if you cripple the time frame for people that are trying to put in something that's good and beneficial for the community, because that's a must, whether it be commercial or residential, and you say you can't even get that pre-designated flip until 18 months. That's the average that it's taking right now, at least 18 months.
Wow.
Well, the whole economy's changed by then.
Yes.
The needs have changed, the supply and demand has changed, so it's hard to get investments for that. And there's plenty of examples. Construction now is 2-3 times more what it was just 3 years ago. Not only that, when you get a bid, for example, for a project, these contractors, they would normally bid you something and say, all right, this bid's good for 30 days, this bid's good for 90 days. Well, now they're going and they're saying, hey, this bid's good for today because we don't know what's going on tomorrow with everything. That's how uncertain the economy is right now. So government has to be able to respond to that uncertainty. And Orange County doesn't seem to be able to respond to it at all. So I think that that's a big thing that needs to change is the process. And I think that's a recurring theme with government in terms of Orange County is that there's a huge bureaucracy and it needs to change. We need to be more agile.
Got it. So now, as a future commissioner, should Orange County encouraging more building and development in District 1 or not? Because I'm seeing a lot of unoccupied vacant
Yeah.
and vacant, and then we just building more and more, but then on the other side, we are leaving these unoccupied buildings that should be, I believe, remodeling sometimes costs less, it depends, unless you have to come up with a new ordinance and laws and codes. But
Right.
what should we do? Build more, build less?
Well, this is I feel like there's two prongs here. One is redevelopment versus development. I will choose redevelopment every single time.
Okay.
Because that is right. We have so many structures that are dilapidated and that can be revitalized through a little bit of incentive, and that's clearly the way to go. I mean, I think that most people will probably agree with that, because especially in West Orange County, we love our green spaces. I'm very involved. I love Lake Apopka, our beautiful Oakland Nature Preserve. We need more of that in our county, and I think most people agree with that. So revitalization, if that's an option, that's what we need to do. However, we have to remember, that's not government's property. That's private property. It's the private owners that have to want to be able to revitalize it. How do we get them to want to do that? It's by incentivizing, creating a good climate for them to be able to do that. So it just goes back to the same thing. Now, on the other hand, you asked a very direct question, which was, should we strive for more redevelopment? Should we encourage development, period? And I think to my dad, who's one of the most influential people in my life, taught me this concept called logic, which we seem to forget about in government these days. And he gave me a statement when I was very, very young that stuck with me, and many people have heard this. There's no black and white, only shades of gray.
Yes.
So I answer your question with that. Orange County is very, very different depending on where you're at, and so is District 1. So what's good and necessary for a community within Winter Garden commonly called East Winter Garden? It's a minority community, an under-resourced community. Their needs in that community are drastically different from, say, the needs of Dr. Phillips, which is in the same district.
Yes.
So you can't just have this blanket philosophy, whether it be pro-development or anti-development. No, it's not that way. There's shades of gray. What you need to do is you need to work in with these different communities, figure out their needs for their community needs, and go from there. So I think that it's a very shades of gray kind of answer.
And basically working with those commissioners that's serving that particular city. Like if you're working with Naco, you work with them besides you are Orange County. So
Yeah, exactly.
our last question, what do you see as the most pressing needs for infrastructure or capital project in District 1 that you believe there should be somewhere? I know you're a big advocate on the Popka and the lakes. I watched that, I believe.
Yeah.
I believe I'm for it too, because we need some greens, produce the oxygen, and suck in the money, you know.
When we used to talk about science, we talked about obvious things like that. Yeah, I believe in preserving our green space. It's critical. I'm also a free private property rights guy, so there's a balance that has to be had with things like Lake Apopka. That's really state-level type conversation where the funding to do the treatments and stuff in terms of hydrilla, the problem that we're dealing with there, and you know the big debate whether to treat, not to treat some. But that's more of a state-level thing for the most part. The county will and does get involved in certain aspects. But at the county level, I think probably the most pressing thing, and anybody that's been in Orange County for 5 minutes will probably agree, is the roads. We got a huge problem with our traffic and our transit. I think that that's where we're struggling most right now, hence the proposal for the penny tax. You know, so I think what we need to do, though, is, again, I'm a logic guy, I'm a common sense guy. I approach things the way I approach my businesses, not with philosophy, but with practical solutions, common sense. So we identify what is the problem. Why do we have an infrastructure problem with our roads and stuff in Orange County? I think it really goes back to how do we do the funding for that? Yes. And there's really three main mechanisms, primary mechanisms for the funding of our roads and infrastructure. And the first one is the gas tax. The gas tax helps to fund, every time you buy gas, you know, a portion of that goes back to Orange County to fund our infrastructure. Well, that's an ever-depleting source of revenue for that, because why? One, you turn on the news for 5 minutes and they're telling you how we're all going to die in 12 months if we don't stop using gas. So that's fine. You know, people like Elon Musk got a lot of electric cars running around on the roads. That's great. But what does that do? It means less gas tax, less revenue from the gas tax. So we have to identify that problem. And there's another problem too with that. The other reason why the gas tax is ever depleting is because ever since COVID, what's all the rage? Working at home,
Yeah.
you know? You ask an 18-year-old, hey, get a job, you need to get a job. He's going to say, yeah, he'll say, yeah, I think I'm going to serve tables. I'm just trying to figure out a work from home option. So that's the mentality. So everybody loves this working from home, and that's great. It works for some folks, but then there's less gas being spent, which is maybe also great for the environment. That's not the point. The point is that that tax is ever depleting. Yeah. So we have a problem where we're losing a common revenue source for our infrastructure. The other two ways, there's two more ways, the primary ways for this funding also are problematic, is impact fees. So impact fees is where somebody's going to do a development, say you have this great, beautiful property that you see a housing need, and you're going to do this affordable housing, and everybody's very excited that you're going to do this affordable housing project. But it's, you're going to bring all this new traffic to the area. So what we say is Igor, okay, that's great, we love it, the community's on board, but we're going to need to do some major improvements on these roads due to this new traffic that you're creating, So we say, look, we're going to approve this zoning change for you so you can do this project, but you're going to have to pay X, Y, and Z amount of dollars so that we can get these roads done, the traffic lights that are going to be necessary. Wow. So you agree to that. That's the impact fees. That's what they are. Mm-hmm. So you say, okay, here's the money. However, the money stays on the table until your permit's released. So what that means is that, as always, who's going to develop faster? Private sector or the super efficient government?
Private always.
Private sector. Yeah. So we get the money the same time you get to the approval to build. So you're building, you're done. Meanwhile, we're still, goofing around with 25 guys to dig one hole. So it's too slow. And so that mechanism is lagging behind. That's one issue to look at. The third and final issue is just kind of ironic. Ad valorem taxes, or property taxes. That's the way we fund infrastructure in this county. Well, nobody's there yet. Nobody's paying property taxes when you're building. And so you're behind the 8 ball. So you finally get your property taxes coming in, but now you're at a desperation point. Horizon West comes to mind. Horizon West has way outgrown those current road systems, and those people are suffering down there. But those are the 3 main mechanisms. All of them are messed up. I'm not saying we abolish those mechanisms, but we have to go back to the table with staff and look at these things the way we do things in a partnership mentality to figure out innovative solutions the same way we would in the private sector. Because as a business owner, I can't go back and ask for more money. I have to figure out a solution innovatively. So I think that's the way. Stop putting people in corners and saying it's us against them, it's pro-development, it's anti-development, it's you're for green space or you're for concrete. No. We need to get together and figure out innovative solutions. So I think that's kind of the
And like you said, start to thinking logically that makes sense for entire county and residents.
That's right. The amount of philosophy that comes out of that commission is so impressive. I mean, I could do a whole college course on the philosophy that we hear from the commission, and that's clearly where they get it from. But there's a difference between philosophy, which is very interesting and fun, and you have late nights talking about it, and actual practical solutions that work. We used to just call it common sense, and we don't look at that anymore. We like to philosophize.
And I always said that if you want to become a good philosopher, so we got to put to practical way before you come with the true philosophy.
That's right. Everybody's a philosopher until they start doing things.
Absolutely. So now we are to end of our show. Last questions. Yeah. I know we are 15 months away. Man, COVID was almost 4 years away. And time is flying.
That's right.
So now you look it up in camera and said, why should Orange County residents under District-1 should vote for you? You got a special message for them. Look it up in camera and convince them.
Okay, all right. Well, I think it's very clear to everybody in Orange County that we need a change. Like I said, we have great municipalities that are doing wonderful things, that are true advocates for our community. But it's one thing to be for the community, it's another thing to be in the community and of the community. So that's why I'm running for office. I think that we need a pro-business mindset in the commission, which is just pro-common sense. And there's many ways to support, even if you are not in my district. If you can't vote for me, Orange County is one of the largest counties in the state. It's the tourism capital right here. So everybody has a vested interest in this Board of County Commissioners. So I encourage you to check me out at voteaustinarthur.com. That's voteaustinarthur.com. And right now we're just trying to do fundraising and all this sort of thing. If you can give, if you have the capacity to give even $5, it'll be a tremendous help for what we're doing. So, like I say, voteaustinarthur.com. My cell phone's on the website. You can text me, call me anytime. I'm a very available person. So, thank you.
Thank you, guys. I mean, you heard. Please start bothering him, texting him. So this is an episode 65. I'm your special host, Tiggy. This is our special guest, Austin Arthur, running for District 1, Orange County. My friend, I wish you the best, and thank you so much for coming on the show. We'll post all of the links of your show below. We'll also share with our platforms throughout. I just do the same thing as you are.
Yeah.
Amazing, bringing guests to our show so our residents are a little bit more educated.
Well, thank you for doing
Educating
this.
is dying. We need to do something on local level before we go on state, even on the federal
Yeah.
level. So
Yeah.
thank you, guys. Please like, share. It's an important vote. We'll have all of his information on our link. We'll also tag his website and social media as well. Thank you. We love you. Keep safe. And keep working hard.
That's right.
Thank you.